Hey everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we are working on some house repairs that were from winterization that failed. We had some pipes that actually froze and separated at the solder points because we used a bad antifreeze. Let me share some tips with you. So this house is my next project for working on. I have to do some painting and cleaning. So when I started doing my cleaning for this house, I noticed that there was a puddle under the sink of antifreeze. Now the only way that could happen is if it froze in the P-trap. So I've got a bag full of miscellaneous spare parts and I'm going to change this P-trap out. Now that should not have cracked and froze with antifreeze in it. A good thing to know is you can take your gallon or a bowl full, however you want to do it, put it in your freezer, leave it out in the cold in the garage, and see if it freezes. If it freezes, it's no good and it's not going to help you in your house. Now we always use like RV antifreeze inside in the pipes. You don't want to use automotive antifreeze. And that way you're not going to have the problems that we're experiencing right now. Now a P-trap is, $5. It's not a huge deal. It's just inconvenient. Now the trouble comes in where if it froze in the toilet, that could be a major problem because it can crack that whole base of the toilet, it can crack the tank, and really cause some major problems. So one of the tips to share with you is, like in this situation, we have the old chrome plumbing switching into some newer PVC because of the garbage disposal or the dishwasher. We always leave the cabinet doors open in a winterized house to make sure that any amount of heat, kind of circulates in there instead of the cabinet getting so cold. The second tip is if you have any kind of crawl space, in this situation, the bathroom was added later and Guy is in there doing some soldering on some copper pipe for us. So this is one of the tips for here is we always leave this window propped open to make sure some of the house heat goes there.
Work rag.
Work rag. And then another tip is to make sure you have insulation all around the outer edge of your house. And with this being a crawl space, he has insulation going up here on this sill. But then right here where he's having this pipe trouble, the insulation was missing from that corner. So that was just something that we missed at some point. So he's in there doing a joint repair and we're going to be all fixed up. So this can be a major problem if you have to call a plumber in with their house calls and service fees. But a little bit of solder and flux and his little torch, it's only a couple of dollars worth of repair. So when you do a winterization in a house, you always want to make sure you shut off the water at the main. In these houses in the city, the main shut off is always in the basement before the meter, and these all have an electronic control that is able to be read outside from the curb. And in this situation, this was a hook in for a water softener. Now, a lot of these valves don't like to turn off all the way. So what we should have done was disconnect this piece here, and this gets put in to bypass the opening when you don't have a water softener. Now, this was a rental property, so a lot of times, the tenants move in and they want to rent a water softener from the local guy, and that allows them to be able to tie it in right there. Always drain the entire system, which we're in the middle of a replacement on our water heater and some other things. So the system has been drained. And with your appliances, such as your dishwasher or your washing machine, you want to run this on the spin cycle with some antifreeze through there, and that will get down into the pump. Or you can take this apart and actually remove the pump so you have no standing water. That drain pump under the washing machine acts similar to a P-trap, and there's always water in there. So if you add a little bit of that antifreeze, you won't have any trouble with any broken appliances. So once you've decided you're going to winterize your house, one of the first things you need to do is get yourself some RV antifreeze. It's usually pink in the automotive department at any big store. This probably came from like a Meijer store, something like that. It's called FVP, Verified and Proven. Well, we're going to verify it and prove it ourselves. Antifreeze is not supposed to freeze. So with that P-trap having a little bit of pink underneath, well, how did it exactly get there if the P-trap didn't bust and freeze? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick this in the freezer. I'm going to leave it there overnight and we're going to see if it's going to freeze. If it freezes, don't use it for your RV, for your home, for your winterization. The second thing you want to do is make sure you have an air compressor with a blaster hose on it so that you can run air through everything where we disconnected, like on the water softener downstairs. Blow air out and it will get all the excess water out, because you're not having just your water off, there's water in those pipes. And that's what we didn't do here because we didn't have an air compressor readily available, portable one to bring here. And it got us this time. It got us in that crawl space, and that's never ever happened before. But we did have some very low temperatures back in January. So now here we are into April. We're coming into unwinterizing the house, but we're still having some freezing nights, so we're using some caution and we're being careful about the house freezing. In the meantime, we're trying to get the heat going and start the renovations here. All right, let's check and see how that antifreeze worked out. It is the next day. It's been at least 24 hours. And just to show, I have frozen food in the refrigerator or freezer, and it's liquid. It did not freeze. So in this case, our antifreeze is good and we can go ahead and use it to winterize the house whenever necessary. So there is a nice little tip for you that a lot of people don't know about, and it's a good thing to share. So share it with your friends, share it with your neighbors, share it with your fellow campers, because if you're doing a auto RV camping kind of thing and you need to winterize your camper, you don't want to have to pull it out in the spring and find out that your pipes froze and then ruin your camper from frozen pipes. So that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.